Hello everyone, welcome to Manifest IAS. You're watching Current Jots. This is Manjunath, Polity Faculty at Manifest. Current Jots is a current affairs initiative which we started on April 1st, and as part of this initiative, we are covering all important current events that have transpired since June last year. As part of this initiative, we have already finished various subjects. In my last chunk was internal security. I've started with IR. So in my last video, I had finished East Asia. Now we are moving to West Asia. So what are the subtopics under West Asia that we are going to look into in this particular video? First is, as the usual pattern follows, that is bilateral relations first. Thereafter, you have regional organizations and certain declarations or agreements signed among these region or within these regional organizations is what we are going to look into. So these are the list of topics. Moving to the first issue, that is the bilateral issue. The country which has been prominently in news is Saudi Arabia.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
India, two important events. One is Saudi. There is a regional event that has happened. Certain oil processing plants have been attacked. That is one news which you should be knowing, certain geographical details related to it. Second thing is you should also be knowing the recent agreement which has been signed between India and Saudi Arabia related to strategic partnership. So first issue is this one, the attacking of certain oil resource, oil processing plants. A drone strike was carried out on Saudi Arabian oil facilities, which were the areas. One is oil processing plant at Abqaiq and the country's second largest oil field at Khurais. So these are the areas, these regions you should be, I'll be just pointing it out in the map. And there is a probability of asking, this is part of your trend which I had made an analysis under strategy on IR video wherein I had identified one trend, that is geography plus IR questions. So as part of this, mapping questions are possible, or just place in news where it is located might be asked. So these facilities are state-owned facilities. There is a state-owned company called Saudi Aramco. These facilities are owned by them. So this is the map I was talking about. Two regions, Abqaiq and Khurais oil field regions are pointed out. So just they might mapping might not be so pertinent here, but the places might be asked. Next is India-Saudi Arabian relations. The recent news is related to the agreement signed, wherein the Prime Minister visited the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to attend an investment initiative called the Future Investment Initiative. What is this initiative? We'll be looking at separately. And outcomes of the visit was what? India established a strategic partnership council. Basically, this is an institutional arrangement to carry the idea of strategic partnership between the two countries forward. So what does it consist of? It is headed by the king on one side and the Prime Minister of India. So these are the the heads of the state head or preside over this, but there are two tracks of meetings or two tracks under them. When I say two tracks, these are two institutions within them wherein a continuous engagement could be possible. So first parallel track under this council is political, security, culture and society related matters will be cooperated on, and it will be headed by foreign ministers of both the countries. The second aspect of the council is to promote economy and investment. This will be headed by Indian commerce ministers and Saudi's energy ministers. So this is the institutional arrangement. Now once we know strategic partnership council, we should also be knowing when did we start strategic partnership with Saudi Arabia, because because if you watched my video that is on strategy related to IR, I had identified one trend wherein bilateral questions could be static or it could be static plus current facts. So the recent question which was asked recently related to Indian African Forum Summit, one option was static option, the second option was the current option. In the static option, they had asked the first African summit was held under Jawaharlal Nehru. So keeping that in mind, certain static aspects of the present or the current event should be known. So that is why I've picked up the history of strategic partnership with Saudi Arabia. Strategic partnership with Saudi Arabia was signed in 2009 and it was called Riyadh Declaration. And mind you, this question was separately asked as a full blown question in mains, I think around in 2010 only. And so this was an outcome of Look West policy launched under Manmohan Singh only. So Manmohan Singh starts the policy. Also, he signs this declaration. This declaration is considered as a landmark in West Asian policy generally. So if you have to write an answer in West Asian policy, this policy is important, which starts under him in 2005. Later on, Riyadh Declaration becomes a materialization of this policy. So these are the points you should be remembering. Now, the Strategic Partnership Council, which has been established, or a strategic partnership which both the countries have, such kind of a partnership is very limited in nature when we look at from the point of or a very reserved kind of a privilege which you are getting, because Saudi Arabia has this kind of partnership only with a few countries. India is the fourth country. Three other countries are UK, France and China. So these are the points you should be remembering with respect to strategic partnership. Overall, what do strategic partnership does include? It includes security aspect, economy, defense, political areas, including combating terrorism as well. Next is future investment initiative. I made a mention because in my previous slide. So the Prime Minister, when he visits this initiative, he gives the keynote address. That is what is next for India at FII. So that is why this investment initiative in itself becomes important. So it is an initiative by the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to diversify kingdom's economy and also to reduce its dependence on petroleum products. Basically, it's a forum to promote investment in the country. So it brings together various policy makers, investors and global experts. It is widely or popularly named now as is being described as Davos of the desert. Davos refers to the place where World Economic Forum meets. So World Economic Forum is for the world, and this is a regional World Economic Forum is what is being called these days. Next is Israel-Palestine issue. Now there are many things we should be knowing with respect to Israel-Palestine issue. With respect to current events, static events, there are a lot, because with Israel we have been promoting aggressive relations, but there are certain things which you should be knowing with respect to Palestine which are in news. One is Palestinian NGO wanted a consultative status under UNESCO. Whether that was granted or not, or what is the consultative committee, etc., that will be looking into. And Donald Trump also gives a Middle East peace plan. So those are the things which you should be knowing. So President Donald Trump unveiled his he unveils the West Asian peace plan called the Peace to Prosperity, a vision to improve the lives of Palestinian Israeli people. So this agreement can generally be asked who gave this. It is given by US. So this was heavily criticized because this was violating the earlier agreements of wherein two-state solution was devised and the joint capital of Jerusalem. All those things have been overlooked in this particular plan. So it was heavily criticized. So criticism analysis more of means for prelims, this is the information you should be having. So certain aspects of Palestine, when this came up, certain articles were written in newspapers on this entire origin of Palestine, etc. So certain agreements were in news, which is part of history. These are the points you should be knowing. So in 1917, during World War I, the British captured Palestine from Ottoman Empire after the Sykes-Picot Agreement. This agreement was in news. Possibility is there that it could be asked, even though world list is not there, but sometimes questions are posed. So when was the first time that it was pledged that there will be a separate home for Jews? It was through a declaration called Balfour Declaration. Balfour Declaration was also a lot in news. The declaration can also be asked because it was the first time when a separate state for Jews was promised. Next is, what is the news related to other news related to Palestine? In 2011, Palestine launched a diplomatic campaign to gain membership of UNESCO. So and this was asked in GS mains this time, when it wanted to So same year it was promoted, it was admitted to UNESCO. That is when UNESCO's funding was cut by US. So this is one point you have to remember, why a country tries to become member of a particular organization, because it gives you international recognition. So international recognition is a major component or one of the fundamental components of forming a nation. And one more news which was with respect to Palestine was a Palestinian NGO named Shahid, that is witness, the meaning of the word Shahid, it applied for consultative status at UN's ECOSOC. Now this is another attempt by Palestinian organizations or Palestine overall to get recognition from international institutions to establish their nationhood and to exercise their right to self-determination. Now ECOSOC, what is ECOSOC and how is ECOSOC related to NGOs? Certain points you should be you should be remembering. But the one news which is related to this is why this has become so prominent. India recently voted in favor of Israel, which was against giving the consultative status. So the debate part is not related to my discussion, whether India was correct in doing it, etc. But my focus is on ECOSOC and NGOs. So when you know what NGOs are, but you know NGOs at the national level. After globalization, particularly in 1970s and 1990s, NGOs acquire a transnational character. So NGOs, they acquire transboundary character. They begin to work in more than one country. So such NGOs require international recognition as well. So they need to be regulated. That is why under UN there is a body, that is ECOSOC, Economic and Social Council. This council is responsible for monitoring and regulation of NGOs. There is an article in the UN Charter called Article 71 which defines what an NGO is, and under this ECOSOC is given the power to give recognition to NGOs which help in promoting the idea of UN. So NGOs which are recognized are given consultative status. So when they get a consultative status, what happens? By the ECOSOC, they are given different functions, they are given different mandate, they are also given funding in order to implement certain projects. So getting a consultative status in itself is a matter of respect, in it itself is a matter of, and with respect to Palestine, it in itself constitutes a step towards nationhood. So these are the points you should be remembering with respect to NGOs. Generally questions could be asked under which international NGOs are recognized, which body is responsible, etc. Next is in West Asia. One more bilateral relation you should be knowing is US-Iran relations, because of the recent standoff, recent tensions between the two, and more importantly, there has been a development, violent attacks have taken place, and one of the generals was assassinated, General Qasem Soleimani. He is the head of Quds Force. Now what is Quds Force? It is a wing of IRGC. Now IRGC is what? Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. It is a branch of Iranian armed forces, and it is independent of Iran's regular army. So what is the major function of this guard? It is involved in promoting the ideology and ideals of the Islamic Republic of Iran. These ideals were agreed on after the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran. So it is rigidly loyal. It is rigidly loyal to the Iranian clerical elite, and killing of this created it opened new wounds between Iran and Russia. These are the points you should be remembering. Nothing much in terms of nothing much more in terms of prelims. Whatever is required I have given, but with respect to mains it becomes important. Next is certain international institutions are in news. First is Organization of Islamic Conference. Now what is organization? Why it was in news? Because India was for the first time, it was invited, say the second day, first time when it was invited, Pakistan expressed reservations and the invitation was taken back. So this time when it was invited at the 46th meeting, India was invited as the guest of honor, and India, surprisingly, it was a U-turn or a somersault, because India never attended OIC because it had differences with OIC. OIC has never or has criticized or has taken an adverse stand historically with respect to Kashmir, with respect to India, on Kashmir with respect to India. So India had generally avoided OSCE, but the first time it accepts, and Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj attends and delivers an address or delivers a speech as well. So that is why this organization becomes important. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation is the second largest organization, consisting of 57 countries, of course, after UN. There is NAM also, but NAM is not so institutional. There is no proper institution of NAM. It's a more of a movement. Next is the organization. What does it do? What is its mandate? It is the collective voice of the Muslim world. So it tries to protect and safeguard the interests of the Muslim world. And it was established in 1969 in a summit at Rabat in Kingdom of Morocco. This was when there was a criminal arson of Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied Jerusalem. So as a response to this event triggered the nations to come together to protect Muslim interests, and it is headquartered at Jeddah. So these are the points you should be remembering. Since India attended the meeting, it becomes very important. So this is an international issue which affects India. That is why this organization becomes important. Next is OPEC. OPEC was in news because Qatar, the world's largest supplier of LNG, is leaving OPEC. So what is OPEC? It is a permanent intergovernmental organization. It is created at the Baghdad Conference in 1960. It is to protect the interest of petroleum exporting countries, that is for protecting interests of Muslim countries. So OPEC is headquartered at Vienna, Austria, and it was first established by Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi and Venezuela. So it is to promote unifying policies. So this is a kind of cartelization, a cartel established to protect the interests of their common interests. So when you establish a cartel, you fix prices, you influence prices all over the world. So this is what this body does. Next is Gulf Cooperation Council. This has already been asked, which one of the following is not a member of GCC, and it was easily identifiable. Iran was one member which was sticking out as a sore thumb because Iran does not go well with other Arab states because it's a Shia country. So you could have easily guessed who is not a member. So Gulf Cooperation Council, basically an organization of Arab states. So when it is Arab states, Iran does not come under it. It was originally known as the Cooperation Council for Arab States, later changed to GCC. So it is meant for promoting or establishing a political and an economic union. And if you remember my East Asia's lecture, I have discussed what is an economic union. I have discussed what is a political union when I had given you the flowchart of how integrations between two countries or two or more countries strengthens, what are the stages in their strengthening, that I've clearly discussed when I was discussing RCEP. So it aims to become an economic and a political union. What are the members? Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and UAE. So Iran is not a member. One option was given as Iran. It was easily identifiable by the logic which I told you. The charter of GCC was signed in 1981, and remember its headquarters is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That it was the headquarter of OIC was in Jeddah. That is also Saudi. Next is, what is the object? Recently GCC has adopted of the following goals: customs union by 2003, common market by 2007, common currency by 2010. So these are its aim. All those things I've discussed separately when I was discussing the stages of integration. I've also given you a map or a visual representation of who are the members. This way it will be it will be easy to remember. Retention will be better, and also when you do such mappings, it will be easy to identify the bordering countries, which seas border, which oceans do not border, etc. So it will be better retention, and also accuracy will be better in your prelims. Next is Beirut Declaration. I did make a mention of this when I was discussing refugee issue. I think in Indian foreign policy, that is my first video, and there I had discussed how refugees has become a big issue, under which I had discussed two things. One is Geneva Convention on genocide in the context of Rohingyas, and also I discussed Geneva Convention on the status related to Refugee Convention. One is Refugee Convention and the other is Genocide Convention under UN. So I had made a mention Beirut Declaration, and I told that I'll be doing in West Asia because it is more related to West Asian refugees. So this was issued at the conclusion of Arab Economic and Social Development Summit. This is considered as a prelude to the Arab League meet, which is scheduled in March 2019 in Tunisia. So this summit was held as a prelude to this summit, Arab League summit. This summit was held in Lebanese capital. What is Arab League? We'll discuss separately. What does this declaration aim to address? It calls on the international community to support Arab countries who are hosting Syrian refugees. Syrian crisis has led to a fallout of refugees, and these refugees have caused a burden on the West Asian countries, and this declaration calls the international communities to help them in addressing the problem of refugees. So since it is a prelude to Arab League, is what I mentioned, Arab League also becomes important. So Arab League is, if you have seen all the other organizations, OPEC, GCC, or even the OIC, they are all West Asian purely. Arab League is North Africa, so in African countries and West Asian countries together have come together form this organization, the Intergovernmental Organization. It's a voluntary association of independent African and West Asian countries. So these are who's when I say Africa also, they may mainly Arab speaking countries. The stated purpose is to promote ties among the member states in their common interests. So it is an old organization established in 1945 in Cairo by these countries. These countries you need not remember, but the members you should know generally. Arab League members is slightly a rarity that it can be asked. Arab League, certain other factual details might be asked. In its early years, Arab League mainly concentrated on economic, cultural and social programs, and in 1959 there was a organization established under it called Arab League Education, Cultural and Scientific Organization on the lines of UNESCO. So in 1964, this is the most important development, PLO was given a representation in PLO observer, was Palestine Liberation Organization, was given as an observer status in this organization. Later on it was upgraded to a full membership. So that is why this league becomes important, because this has promoted the rights of Palestinians in a certain sense. With this we have finished all the topics related to the issue West Asia. Now coming to the final part, that is questions related to them. As part of every video we are giving you certain questions. Please do answer them, because it not only helps you assess as to how much of the video you are understanding, it also helps us as to how are the videos being received. So first question is related to Beirut Declaration, which is current event. Future Investment Initiative, this is also a current event. Third is also a current event, Oasis. So all prominent events which were in news, I have given it as a question. So that is, before I sign out, there is a small announcement which I need to make regarding the courses which we are launching. We are launching a foundation course in July 2020. The course will begin in July. This is our key program. This is the central program which we conduct every year. This is called Instruction Assessment Guidance Based Mains cum Prelims program. So this is a full-fledged program wherein entire syllabus regarding prelims, entire syllabus of prelims and mains will be covered over a year. So it's a year-round program. And under this there are three components. One is the instruction component, that is which includes around 600 plus hours of classes. Assessment includes prelims and mains tests at regular intervals. Also there are daily answer writing practice along with objective questions on a daily basis, and of course the personal guidance, because we know that every student is unique and solutions should be unique too, and hence there is an appointment system where you can through online system you can book the appointments and meet the faculty at designated time. For more details regarding the course, please see the description. You can also visit the website www.manifestias.com. On the home page, the link for registration is also given. The link for registration is also posted in the description. Hope you like the video. Thank you for watching it. Have a great day.